right, each week we do something called a community moment. It's an opportunity for a member of our own community to come up and give kind of a thought for a day. It can be about a personal life story. It can be about a book you're reading, maybe just a topic you find interesting. The only restriction is that it be 10 minutes or less. If you would like to get on the schedule for a community moment, you can talk to Laura, or you can email her, speak@houstonoasis.org. This week's community moment presenter is Amy Morales, and her talk is entitled An Unlikely Cause. Let's welcome Amy.
Good morning, Houston Oasis. My story is one that necessitates a lot of compassion and a lot of capacity for reason, so I feel like I'm in a perfect spot this morning. I do have some notes because I don't want to get off track, so forgive me. So as you know, my name is Amy. I'm a mother of 2 by birth and countless others by circumstance. And I'm also a father. I'm a father because the father of my children was killed 10 years ago. I was traumatized after a triple homicide claimed his life. I learned the true meaning of forgiveness when I came to know one of the men responsible for the murders. His death was an unlikely cause for the friendship, to say the least. But my fighting for clemency for the guilty young man is perhaps the most unlikely cause of all. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to share my story of compassion and forgiveness because these are 2 qualities that are necessary for us to live by. When I reflect on your values, they're 5, right? I'm not turned around looking. People are more important than beliefs. I believe that. People ask me why. Why would you associate with this guy? Why would you try to help him? Why do you even care what he has to say? And sometimes I even ask myself why. This union didn't start out deliberately. I don't think anyone would say they want to go be friends with someone who's responsible for the loss of life of a dear family member. It was while I was seeking answers that might help bring me closure that I found this remorseful, terrified kid who had gotten in way over his head. He made a set of foolish decisions, and that ultimately ended up with 3 people dead and a life without parole sentence for him at the age of 18. Many people I know use religion to judge this kid for his mistakes. And as I'm sure you may believe with me, judgment is an absolute waste of time. Judging him is an absolute waste of time. I'm sure I don't have to convince you guys that reality is known through reason. And the most natural response to a situation such as this is anger. And anger is warranted. But anger is not a sustainable emotion. And I know that if you hold on to anger for any extended period of time, it changes who you are. And I was very angry when this happened to my family. I wasn't ready to shed my anger when I first met this young man, Jonathan. I had no intention of becoming his confidant or his mentor, least of all his friend. I just wanted answers. But the young man I came to know is witty and intelligent and compassionate, and he has a mother and a father who raised him right, and he has siblings who look up to him. He has nieces and nephews who love him dearly, and everybody misses him. Much like we missed the person that we lost. I can't explain the compassion I have in my heart, and I would have never imagined this scenario playing out the way it has. But examining this situation from perspectives other than my own, it only makes sense to do it this way. The reality of this situation is that things have been done that cannot be changed. The outcome is permanent, and my family is not the only ones who've encountered a deep loss. When we talk about meaning coming from making a difference, I want to touch on that. It's important to me that the gross loss of life that happened that October night in 2009 not be in vain. There were 3 lives lost. And I could choose to carry hate around like many of the other family members that I'm associated with, but that's not productive. So I'm choosing to teach others through this situation. The difference that I'm making in my children's life is quite impactful. They're seeing forgiveness and compassion in our own home. We don't just talk about it, we live it. As a result of our bond, Jonathan has formed several prison groups. Using our story, he talks about us on a weekly basis. And through that, many other hopeless human beings are encouraged and inspired by the bond that Jonathan and I have and the work that we're doing. And I think that's pretty meaningful. We talk about human hands solving human problems. In Texas, we have a law called the law of parties. I don't know how many of you may be familiar with that, but it states that a person can be held criminally responsible for the actions of another in certain circumstances. And that law is the one that made Jonathan eligible for life without parole at age 18, even though he himself did not take anyone's life. Much heartache occurs as a result of this law. The killer undoubtedly deserves to be punished. And because Jonathan did have a tie in this, he's not completely without fault. He deserves to be punished too, but not with his life. By advocating for him, I am hoping to advocate for others with unfair or overtly harsh sentences. Finally, to be accepting and be accepted, I believe that because I'm flawed and I still believe that I deserve kind and fair treatment, love and acceptance, that others who are flawed deserve the same thing. I see Jonathan as a person, not as a criminal. I see him for the things he does, not just that thing he did. So the bond between this young man and I is unique. It's led us both to finding peace within ourselves. It has given him a purpose as he faces a tough road ahead. It has helped my family and I come to terms with the reality of our situation. And I do hope that our story continues to show the importance of forgiveness, especially when forgiveness seems most unlikely. I thank you guys for listening today.